Two traders, same chart, same entry. One made $12,000. The other lost $3,000. The only difference? Three numbers they typed into their trading platform. The night sea stretched out like a vast sheet of black velvet, gentle white-capped waves shimmering under a pale moon. Two ships were anchored at the harbor, ready to set sail. Both had compasses, maps, and seasoned crews. Both shared the same starting point, the same heading, the same goal, to return with a hull overflowing with treasure. When the signal horn sounded, sails caught the wind, and the ships cut through the waves toward the horizon. But a week later, as a blazing dawn painted the sea in gold, only one ship returned, its deck piled high with gold and jewels. The other came back empty, its captain standing silent, eyes fixed on the distant horizon, wondering what had gone wrong. There had been no storms to capsize them, no pirate attacks, no shortage of food or water. Only one difference existed: how they dropped their anchor and chose their destination. Welcome to Trading Psychology Stick, where we decode the mental game behind profitable trading. Quick disclaimer: what you're about to learn comes from years of market experience. But remember, trading involves risk, and past strategies don't guarantee future results. Now, let's dive deep. You see, this is exactly like trading. Thousands of traders step into the market each day with the same tools, the same charts, the same signals. Yet, after days or weeks, their results are oceans apart. The difference is not where they enter, but how they set their anchor, the stop loss, and their destination port, the take profit. If your SL is too close, a small wave can wipe you out. If your TP is too far or poorly placed, you might miss the treasure right in front of you. In this journey, I'll take you through 15 stages, from leaving port with your treasure map, to weathering psychological storms, to evading the pirates that hunt your SL, and finally docking with maximum profits. You'll see how seemingly small decisions about SL and TP determine the entire fate of your voyage. And when you understand, apply, and practice what I'm about to share, you won't just survive these treacherous waters. You'll become the captain who returns with a ship weighed down by riches, while others are still struggling against the waves. Here's what most traders miss. Your entry is just 10% of the equation. The other 90%, that's all about your exit strategy. But before we set sail, you need a clear map, and that's exactly where we begin. Section 2. The Treasure Map. Risk-Reward Reality. Imagine unrolling an old parchment under the flickering light of an oil lamp. The map smells of salt and time, its lines tracing a path through dangerous reefs, hidden coves, and open waters toward a single red X. This is your risk-to-reward ratio, your treasure map. Without it, the sea is endless and directionless. With it, every decision you make has purpose. In trading, most captains, and by captains, I mean traders, think the map is simple. Always aim for a 1-to-2 risk-to-reward. They cling to it like a superstition, a sailor's myth passed down without question. But the ocean doesn't care about your fixed ratio, and neither does the market. Sometimes the safest route to treasure requires a smaller ratio, hugging the coastlines to avoid storms. Other times you need to push further into open waters for a bigger payoff, accepting the risk of unpredictable waves. I worked with a trader named Marcus, who treated every trade like a naval operation. He was disciplined, perhaps too disciplined. Every entry had a 1-to-2 RRR, no matter the conditions. During a tight EUR-USD consolidation, the breakout came, but it was slow, sluggish. His rigid 1-to-2 target was miles beyond the natural harbor the market offered. Price reached the edge of the cove, a safe place to dock and collect profits, and then the wind died. The market reversed, currents pulling his ship back, past his entry, into loss. A flexible captain would have read the waters, adjusted the destination, and secured the loot before the tide turned. The uncomfortable truth is this: the treasure map is not a static piece of paper. It's alive. Every trade is a new voyage with its own weather, currents, and threats. Sometimes the path to the X is short and sweet. Sometimes it's long and dangerous. Your RRR should be drawn in pencil, ready to be redrawn as conditions change. This doesn't mean abandoning discipline. Far from it. It means mastering the art of navigation, balancing ambition with survival. Try this experiment. Pull up your last 10 trades right now. How many times did you stick to a predetermined ratio when the market was clearly offering something different? Count them. If it's more than 3, you're leaving money on the table. The market doesn't hand out medals for stubbornness. It rewards those who adapt. An adaptation begins by understanding that the X on your map moves with the tide. But knowing the map is only the first step. Out there, beyond the edge of the harbor, lies something far more dangerous than reefs or storms. It's the storm inside your own mind. Section 3. The psychological storm, the psychology trap. The sea can be calm, the sky clear, and yet the deadliest storm brews not above the water, but inside the captain's mind. In trading, this storm takes the form of fear and greed, two opposing winds that, when they clash, can tear your sails apart. Fear whispers that your anchor, your SL, is too far from safety. It pushes you to pull it closer to shore, so close that even the smallest wave can snap your chain and send you drifting into loss. Greed, on the other hand, shouts that your destination, your TP, is just a little further. It urges you to chase the horizon, stretching your voyage into dangerous waters where storms gather unseen. I've sailed alongside traders who were masters of analysis, capable of reading charts as if they were celestial maps. And yet, when the market turned against them, their hands would tremble over the wheel. Take Sarah, a sharp, disciplined trader working the gold markets. She had a solid plan for XAU-USD, aiming for a reasonable TP at $2,085 with an ATR-based SL. But as price neared $2,080, greed swelled in her chest like a sudden squall. Just $20 more, she thought. She moved her TP further, chasing a distant island. The winds shifted. A flash reversal slammed her trade into loss, wiping away days of gains. She didn't lose to the market's logic. She lost to her own internal weather. Fear is no less cruel. I've seen captains sabotage themselves by pulling their SL so close it might as well have been a noose. They're so desperate to avoid loss that they guarantee it, getting stopped out in noise that a steadier hand would have weathered. This is loss aversion at work, the human mind's tendency to feel the pain of loss twice as strongly as the pleasure of gain. Combine that with anchoring, the bias that locks you to the first number you see, and you have a recipe for poor judgment. Picture this scenario. You're in a winning trade, up 2R already. Your original plan says to exit at 3R, but now fear creeps in. What if it reverses? What if you give it all back? So you close early, taking your 2R and feeling smart. Then you watch in agony as price continues exactly to your original 3R target and beyond. Sound familiar? Your SL and TP are not just technical settings. They are mirrors reflecting your state of mind. You can have the best system in the world, but if you let fear tighten your anchor or greed push your destination further into the storm, the sea will punish you. True mastery means managing the winds inside before you can navigate the waters outside. Take a moment right now. Write down your last emotional trading decision. Not your last trade, but your last emotional override of your plan. What emotion drove it? What did it cost you? This awareness is your first step to calming the storm. And once you face the storm inside, it's time to prepare your vessel itself, to decide how much it can carry without capsizing. Section 4. The ship's cargo limit. Setting your risk per trade. Every ship has a limit to what it can carry. Overload it, and even the gentlest wave can pull it under. Underload it, and you waste the voyage, returning with far less than you could have earned. In trading, this cargo limit is your risk per trade, the exact percentage of your capital you're willing to put in harm's way on a single voyage. Get this wrong, and the rest of your SL and TP strategy becomes meaningless. Picture a captain navigating the crypto seas with a $50,000 account. This particular trader sailed with reckless abandon, risking 10% on each trade. The first few journeys were smooth. Profits came fast. The cargo hold filled quickly. But then came a stretch of rough waters, 3 losing trades in a row. 30% of his fleet's value vanished in less than a week. The crew grew restless, the ship's supplies dwindled, and panic set in. Compare this to another captain sailing the same waters, but never risking more than 2% of her account on any single trade. When storms hit, she lost a few barrels, but her ship remained seaworthy, her crew calm, and her map intact. Here's the big idea. Your risk per trade is your ballast. Too much weight on one side, and your ship tilts dangerously. Too little, and you don't cut through the waves with enough momentum to reach your TP. This is where position sizing becomes the captain's art. It's not just about picking a number like 1% or 2%. It's about matching that number to the width of your SL. A tighter SL means you can carry more cargo without tipping. A wider SL means you must lighten the load to keep your ship steady. I've seen traders who use a fixed lot size for every trade, as if every voyage were the same, but the sea, the market, is never the same. Some routes are calm and predictable, others are littered with hidden reefs. Your cargo limit must adapt. The safest captains know exactly how many barrels to load before each departure, balancing ambition with survival. Let me give you a calculation that changed everything for my trading. Take your account size, multiply by your risk percentage, then divide by your stop-loss distance in pips or points. That's your exact position size. Not a guess, not a feeling, but math. Write this formula down. Use it before every single trade. The uncomfortable truth is that most traders blow up not because they can't find good entries, but because they load too much cargo trying to get rich on a single voyage. From now on, imagine every trade as a voyage where you decide the cargo with care, knowing that your ship's stability, your trading survival, depends on it. Once you've set your cargo limit, the next step is to decide exactly where to drop your anchor so it holds firm against the tides. Section 5. Dropping a safe anchor, SL placement. An anchor is useless if it's dropped in the wrong place, too close to shore, and the tide will smash you against the rocks, too far out in deep waters, and you risk drifting into danger before it catches. In trading, your stop loss is that anchor, the final line between your ship and the abyss. Set it poorly, and it's not the market that sinks you, it's your own hand on the chain. October 10th, the BTC USDTCs were restless. Price broke through $27,500, a promising gust filling the sails. Trader A dropped anchor just below $27,300, thinking it was safe. But the market sent a sudden swell, a quick liquidity sweep, and in seconds, his anchor gave way. Stopped out, he could only watch as the price surged past $30,000 without him. Meanwhile, Trader B, sailing alongside, used an ATR-based stop. His anchor was set deeper, beyond the reach of the market's playful waves. He endured the turbulence, kept his position steady, and returned to port with a haul 3 times larger than Trader A would have managed. The revelation here is clear. Not all anchors are created equal. Many traders choose technical stops, placing them just beyond support or resistance, without realizing these are the first spots market makers target. It's like anchoring in a bay known for pirates. You're practically inviting an attack. Volatility-based stops, like those using the average true range, account for the market's natural breathing room. They let your ship sway with the current without snapping the chain. The trick is to match your anchor to the sea you're sailing. In calmer markets, a tighter SL can work, keeping your risk lean. In choppy waters, you need more rope, more distance, so the anchor holds without breaking. Too many captains mistake a close SL for safety, when in reality, it's just fragility. The market will test you. It will push against your anchor again and again, searching for weakness. And if you've placed it carelessly, it will find it. Here's what changed my game completely. Before placing any stop loss, I ask 3 questions. First, where is everyone else putting their stops? Second, what's the average true range telling me about normal price movement? Third, if I were a market maker with $1 million, where would I hunt for liquidity? These 3 questions have saved me from more stop hunts than any indicator ever could. The market has a memory. It knows where the obvious stops are. It knows where the crowd anchors their ships. Your job is to be different, to anchor where the storms rarely reach. From now on, let your SL placement be strategic, a hidden hold in the seabed, invisible to those who would hunt it. With your anchor secure, the next question is just as vital. Where exactly will you dock your ship to unload your treasure? That's where the art of take profit begins. Section 6. Choosing the right port. TP placement. A wise captain doesn't just set sail and hope to stumble upon treasure. They choose a port, a harbor where they can unload their cargo before the seas turn against them. In trading, your take profit is that port. Set it too close, and you might dock early, leaving vast riches still in the water. Set it too far, and you risk sailing past safety into storms that strip away everything you've gained. Many traders think TP placement is as simple as picking a round number or a fixed multiple of their risk. But the sea is not fixed, and neither is the market. Every voyage has its own wind, current, and hidden shoals. Some trades are like short hops between friendly ports. You take the safe profit quickly because the waters ahead are unpredictable. Others are long voyages across open ocean, where the winds are steady, and you can push further to reach a distant, more lucrative shore. The seasoned captains use the shape of the coastline, market structure to decide. They read the chart like a map, spotting supply and demand zones, Fibonacci retracement levels, or liquidity pools where other ships gather. These are natural harbors, places where price tends to rest or reverse. During a recent EUR-USD breakout after weeks of consolidation, a cautious trader might have aimed for the nearest resistance, like the first visible island. But the wiser captain saw the larger weather pattern, steady winds from strong central bank policy, and plotted a course to the next major liquidity pool, scaling out cargo along the way. This brings us to the power of scaling TP. You don't have to unload all your treasure at once. Dock at the first port to cover your costs, secure a partial profit, then continue the voyage with the remaining cargo. That way, you've already locked in gains, even if the second leg of the journey encounters a storm. It's the difference between coming home with something versus coming home empty-handed because you were chasing one final risky destination. Try this on your next winning trade. Instead of one take profit, set 3. First TP at 1R to cover costs. Second TP at 2R for solid profit. Third TP at 3R, or wherever your analysis suggests. Then watch how this changes not just your profits, but your entire psychological state during the trade. Your TP is not just a point. It's a series of ports along your route. Each one offers safety, each one gives you the choice to stop or continue. This flexibility is what keeps professional traders profitable over decades, while amateurs cling to rigid, all-or-nothing targets. The moment you start thinking in terms of multiple destinations rather than a single endpoint, your entire trading transforms. And once your ports are chosen, there's another question every captain must face. When should you pull up anchor entirely, even before you reach your next planned stop? That's the secret of break-even and trailing SL. Section 7. The moving anchor, break-even and trailing SL. A captain who never adjusts their anchor is like a trader who never adapts to the winds. Sometimes, as you sail toward your chosen port, the weather shifts in your favor, the waves steady, and the horizon clears. That's when you might decide to lift your anchor slightly, to move your stop loss to break even, locking in the safety of knowing you can no longer lose on this voyage. But move it too soon, and you risk cutting short a profitable journey. Move it too late, and the storms may still take you down. A gold trader riding the XAU-USD wins from $2,060, watch the market push price to $2,100 in just 2 days. His original SL was deep in safe waters, far from the noise. As the profit grew, he moved his SL to break even, securing the ship's survival no matter what happened next. When a sudden squall hit, price dipped sharply, tagging his break even and ending the voyage. But here's the twist. Without that break even move, he would have been knocked back into a loss before the wind returned and carried price to $2,140. His crew slept easy that night, their cargo secure in the hold. Trailing stops are another weapon in the captain's arsenal. Think of them as a moving anchor that follows you at a set distance, ready to drop if the market turns. A fixed-step trailing stop is like a crewman who drops the anchor every time you pass a certain distance from the last stop. ATR-based trailing is more like an experienced navigator, adjusting the distance based on the swell and chop of the current volatility. Then there's structure trailing, following the market's swing highs and lows like islands on the horizon, dropping anchor just beyond each one. The danger is in tightening your trailing stop too aggressively. Imagine sailing with your anchor, dragging just behind you. Every small shift in the tide could snag it and stop your journey prematurely. The art lies in giving the market enough room to breathe while still protecting your gains. Here's a mental shift that transformed my trading. Stop thinking of break-even as giving up profit potential. Start thinking of it as buying psychological freedom. Once you're at break-even, you can think clearly, spot new opportunities, make better decisions. The trade becomes a free option on further profits. Break-even and trailing stops are not just about protecting profit. They are psychological armor. Knowing you've locked in safety frees your mind from fear, allowing you to make clearer decisions for the rest of the voyage. It's easier to scan the horizon for new opportunities when you know your current ship is out of danger. The question now becomes, how do you know if your chosen SL and TP are truly the best for the journey ahead? What would happen if you could test them before risking real capital? That's when you take your strategies to the testing grounds. No wise captain takes a new route without first studying the logs of those who sailed before. In trading, that logbook is your back test, the rehearsal before the real voyage. It's where you simulate hundreds of journeys, testing your chosen SL and TP combinations against the seas of past market data. This is not guesswork. This is charting the uncharted with the knowledge of history at your side. Picture a coastal fortress in your mind. Outside its walls lies a dangerous stretch of sea littered with shipwrecks. Traders who never tested their routes are those broken hulls scattered on the rocks. They set sail with blind confidence, believing a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 risk. To reward will always work, never realizing some stretches of water are calmer, others treacherous. Backtesting reveals this. It tells you if your anchor holds in a storm or if your TP port lies in a dead zone where ships never return. Working with a small group of crypto scalpers, we ran their trades through 2 years of historical BTC/USDT data, testing 3 SL-TP configurations: tight SL with small TP, moderate SL with fixed TP, and volatility-based SL with scaling TP. The results shocked them. Their favorite, the tight SL fixed TP, produced the highest win rate but the lowest overall profit. The volatility-based scaling approach had a lower win rate but nearly doubled net returns. But here's the trap many fall into: overfitting. This is when you tailor your SL-TP settings so perfectly to past data that they fail miserably in live conditions. It's like building a ship for the exact weather pattern of last year, only to find the winds have shifted. Your goal isn't perfection in the backtest, it's robustness. You want a ship that can handle rough seas, calm waters, and unpredictable currents alike. Quick exercise for you. Take your last strategy and run it through just 20 historical trades. Not 500, just 20. But here's the key. Use trades from different market conditions. 10 from trending markets, 10 from ranging. See how your SL and TP perform in both. The results will tell you more than 1,000 trades from similar conditions ever could. Backtesting forces you to face uncomfortable truths. Sometimes the safe route you've been taking, the one that feels most comfortable, is actually costing you more than the occasional storm. Sometimes the riskier path, when managed well, is the one that brings you home with more treasure. The numbers don't lie, but the market doesn't repeat exactly either, which means once you've tested your strategies, you must learn to adjust them for the waters you're sailing right now. Section 9, the weather and the currents, market regime. Adjustments. No captain would sail the same way in a glassy calm as they would in a howling gale. Yet in trading, far too many set their SL and TP as if the market were a static, unchanging ocean. It isn't. The tides shift, the wind changes, and what worked in one regime can wreck you in another. Understanding the weather, the market's current state, is the difference between a smooth voyage and a shipwreck. In trending markets, the sea feels alive under your keel. The wind fills your sails and keeps you moving steadily toward distant ports. Here, a wider SL and more ambitious TP can pay off, letting you ride the wave for days or even weeks. When EUR/USD was driven by a strong policy tailwind from the ECB, traders who recognized the trend could give their ships more room to run, scaling out profits along a long, steady course. Those who used tight stops and modest targets kept docking early, missing the richest harbors. In ranging markets, the waters are choppier. The wind comes and goes, currents swirl unpredictably. Here, the safe approach is to tighten your SL and bring your TP closer, short hops between known harbors, taking profits before the tide turns. Think back to BTC in the summer months, bobbing between 25,000 and 27,000 like a ship stuck between two reefs. Captains who tried to sail through the range as if it were an open sea found themselves battered and turned back. Those who adjusted, making smaller, quicker voyages, survived and profited. Volatility shifts are like sudden squalls or stretches of dead calm. High volatility demands more space for your SL. The waves are bigger, the swings wilder. Low volatility calls for precision. A smaller SL keeps you efficient when the market drifts lazily. The key is to recognize these changes in real time, not after the damage is done. Here's something most traders never realize. The market tells you its regime before it changes. Volume dries up before ranges. Volatility expands before trends. News flow accelerates before major moves. If you watch these signs like a sailor watches the sky, you can adjust your SL and TP before the weather shifts, not after. Your SL and TP are tools, not monuments. They are meant to move with the conditions, to flex and adapt, just as a ship's sails and rigging adjust to the wind. The market rewards the adaptable, not the stubborn. Pull up a chart right now. What regime are we in? Trending, ranging, or transitioning? Now look at your default SL and TP settings. Do they match the current weather? If not, you're sailing with the wrong equipment for these seas. And once you can read the weather and ride the currents, you'll be ready to face the most cunning danger of all, the pirates who lie in wait for your anchor. Section 10, Avoiding the Pirates. Stop hunt. Every ocean has its predators. In the old days, they were pirates in black-sailed ships, lying in wait near busy trade routes, ready to seize an unsuspecting vessel's cargo. In the markets, they take a different form, the stop hunt. These are deliberate moves to trigger clusters of stop-loss orders, forcing traders out of their positions so larger players can claim the liquidity left behind. If you've ever had your SL tagged by a sudden spike, only to watch the price sail smoothly in your original direction, you've met these pirates firsthand. Gold gave us a textbook example. Price had been trending upward, and many traders anchored their stops just below a clean support level, around $1,975. It was like a fleet of ships all anchored in the same vulnerable bay. The market dipped sharply one afternoon, slicing through that level with surgical precision, triggering hundreds of stops in seconds. Then, almost mockingly, the price reversed and surged past 2,000. The pirates had struck, filling their holds with liquidity before letting the wind carry them to profit. The mistake here is visibility. If your anchor, your SL, is in an obvious spot, you're inviting an attack. Market makers and large players know where the easy prey lies. They scan for obvious swing lows, round numbers, and tight clusters of orders. They don't have to guess. The patterns repeat like well-worn shipping lanes. The defense is stealth. One method is to set your SL beyond the obvious hunting ground, far enough that the pirates would need to commit serious resources to reach you, something they won't do unless it's worth their while. Another is the mental stop. You know exactly where you'll exit, but you keep that anchor in your mind, not on the public ledger. This requires discipline. You must execute without hesitation when your mental level is reached, but it keeps your ship invisible to opportunistic raiders. There's also the tactic of staggered positioning. Split your trade into parts with different SL placements, so even if one gets hunted, the others remain at sea. Think of it as sending two ships along different routes, harder for pirates to catch them both. Let me share what I do now. Every time I see an obvious stop-loss level, I add 20 to 30% more distance. If the obvious stop is at 100, I'll place mine at 97 or 96. Those extra few percentage points have saved me from more hunts than I can count. The pirates sweep through 100, collect their bounty, and leave. My position survives. Survival in these waters is not just about being strong. It's about being unseen when it matters. If you can hide your anchor or place it where few dare to sail, the pirates will pass you by, searching for easier prey. Now that you've learned to slip past the pirates, you can turn your attention to something far more ambitious, growing your fleet while you're still at sea. Section 11, Expanding the Fleet, Scaling in and Out. There comes a point in every voyage when the winds are strong, the water's clear, and the stars above guide you without doubt. This is when a captain might call for reinforcements, sending for more ships to join the journey, or begin unloading part of the cargo at safe ports along the way. In trading, this is scaling in and scaling out, adding to winning positions without increasing your overall risk, and taking partial profits to lock in gains while keeping some of the trade alive for bigger horizons. EUR/USD offered such a moment. After weeks of calm seas and a tight range, the pair finally broke free, riding a powerful uptrend on the back of a central bank decision that caught many traders off guard. A trader I'd been mentoring entered early with a modest position. As the price pushed through each key resistance, like passing one island after another, he added to his position, but only by reallocating from his unrealized gains. In other words, he didn't overload his fleet from the start. He expanded it using the cargo he'd already secured. On the way, he also stopped at smaller ports, partial TPs at logical resistance zones. These were like restocking harbors, places where he could unload some treasure, pay the crew, and still have enough left on board to continue the voyage. This strategy meant that even if a sudden storm rolled in and reversed the trend, he'd already secured enough profit to call the journey a success. Scaling in is not about greed. It's about momentum management. You only add when the winds are clearly in your favor and your fleet is stable. Scaling out is not about fear. It's about insurance. You take some profits off the table so you can ride the rest without the weight of anxiety dragging at your decisions. Both require discipline and a deep understanding of the waters you're sailing. Here's a practical framework I use. First scale out happens at 1R to cover costs, second at 2R to bank profit. The remaining position runs toward a bigger target with a trailing stop. This way, the worst case scenario is still a winning trade. The best case scenario is a home run. Great traders don't think in absolutes, all in or all out. They manage their positions like a convoy, some ships docking early, others pressing on to distant lands. It's a balance of ambition and security, of seizing opportunity while protecting what's already yours. Count how many times you've exited completely, only to watch the market sail far beyond your TP. Now imagine if you'd kept just 20% of that position running with a trailing stop. Those extra gains, compounded over dozens of trades, could double your annual returns. When you begin thinking in terms of convoys and cargo distribution, you start to see the true measure of your voyages, not in isolated wins or losses, but in the total return across your entire fleet. And that mindset leads naturally to the next evolution, measuring your success not in dollars or pips, but in the universal currency of great traders. Section 12. Measuring in treasure units, R multiple mindset. A seasoned captain doesn't boast about how many gold coins they brought back from a single voyage. They speak in terms of hauls relative to the risk they took, how many times over they multiplied the cargo they dared to load when leaving port. In trading, that universal language is the R multiple. 1R represents the amount you risked on a trade. If you risked $1,000 and made $3,000, that's a plus 3R voyage. If you lost $500 on a $500 risk, that's minus 1R. It's the simplest, most powerful way to measure your success across all the seas you sail. The magic of this mindset is how it levels the playing field. Two traders can have wildly different win rates and still end up with the same or vastly different profits depending on their R values. I've seen traders win only 40% of the time, but with average wins of plus 3R and average losses of minus 1R, their treasure chests fill faster than those winning 70% of their voyages at plus 1R. The sea rewards those who know how to ride a favorable wind far enough to make the journey worthwhile. A trader deep in the BTC USDT waters caught a trend early. His system had found something special. Instead of taking a fixed $2,000 profit as he had in the past, he measured the journey in R. He had risked $800, 1R, on the trade. When the market moved strongly in his favor, he resisted the temptation to dock early. By the end, he returned with plus 5R, the largest single haul of his career. That one trade covered weeks of smaller, losing voyages, and still left him with surplus for new expeditions. The R multiple perspective changes the conversation in your head. No longer are you fixated on the raw size of the gain or loss. You start asking better questions. How many R's did I gain? Was that journey worth the risk I took? Could I have reasonably aimed for more R's given the winds and currents? This keeps you focused on efficiency and scalability rather than emotional attachment to a single outcome. Challenge yourself with this. For your next 10 trades, ignore the dollar amounts entirely. Track only the R multiples. Win or lose, just track the R's. After 10 trades, add them up. If the total is positive, you're profitable regardless of your win rate. This simple shift in measurement will revolutionize how you see trading. When you shift to R multiples, every trade becomes a calculated expedition. You start thinking of trades not as individual wins or losses, but as statistical events in a larger system. Some will be minus 1R, that's the cost of doing business. Others will be plus 3R, plus 5R, even plus 10R. The key is ensuring your average R is positive over time. And once you speak the language of R's fluently, you'll be ready for the final transformation, turning your ship into an automated vessel that follows your charted course without letting emotions steer you off path. There comes a point in a captain's career when their crew knows the ship so well that every maneuver, every sail adjustment, every anchor drop happens without a word being spoken. The ship seems to steer itself. In trading, automation is your seasoned crew, the code, scripts, and trading platform rules that execute your SL and TP decisions exactly as you've planned, without hesitation, without fear, without greed. Human error is the leaky hole that sinks more voyages than storms ever will. I've watched traders craft brilliant SL and TP strategies on paper, only to abandon them mid-journey because of a sudden market swell or a flash of anxiety. A bot doesn't care about a spike in volatility. It doesn't hope the market will turn. It follows your orders with machine precision, dropping the anchor and docking at the port exactly as instructed. A trader I worked with struggled with what he called captain's remorse. He would move his SL away when the waves got rough, or close his trade early when the port was in sight but the wind faltered. We set up a simple automation in his trading platform, an ATR-based SL that adjusted with volatility, and scaling TPs that unloaded cargo at predefined resistance levels. Within 2 months, his results stabilized. Not because the market was kinder, but because his ship no longer had a captain who second-guessed the map mid-journey. Automation doesn't have to mean complex algorithms. Even conditional orders, where your SL and TP are set the moment you enter, can be enough to keep the voyage disciplined. The key is to remove your emotions from the helm. When you know your crew will follow your plan to the letter, you're free to focus on navigation, spotting new opportunities, adjusting for the next journey, and refining your maps. Here's what most traders don't understand. Automation is not about replacing the captain. It's about protecting them from themselves. A great sailor still makes the map, still chooses the destination, still reads the weather. But when the time comes to drop anchor or dock, the crew acts instantly without hesitation, exactly as planned. Start small. On your next trade, set your SL and TP as conditional orders before you enter. Then walk away from the screen. Let the automation handle the exit. Do this for 5 trades and compare your results to your last 5 manual exits. The difference will shock you. How many times have you sabotaged your own journey with a last-minute change of heart? What would your results look like if you simply followed your own best plan every time without deviation? Once you've set your ship to sail itself according to your course, you can start to experiment, taking the same entry and watching how different SL and TP tactics change the outcome entirely. The gold market was restless, the kind of restless that makes a captain's fingers itch on the wheel. XAU/USD had been hovering near $2,060, the air thick with tension. News from distant shores, geopolitical tremors, sent a steady wind into the sails, and price began to climb. It was the same voyage for every trader watching, but the way they set their SL and TP would lead to 3 entirely different fates. The first captain set a tight SL just beneath a recent swing low and a fixed TP at a modest resistance. He was cautious, perhaps too cautious, hugging the coast. The journey was short. Price clipped his TP quickly, granting a small profit. But when the wind continued to blow strong toward 2,140, his ship was already moored, the sails furled, watching from the dock as others carried on toward greater riches. The second captain was bolder. He used an ATR-based SL, giving the anchor more rope, and plotted a scaling TP strategy. At $2,085, he unloaded part of his cargo, paying his crew, securing the voyage's success, but kept sailing. At $2,120, another partial unload. When the final TP at $2,135 was reached, he had tripled the profit of the first captain, yet never faced the anxiety of an all-or-nothing bet. The third captain was the dreamer, the kind who sees the horizon as a personal challenge. He set a trailing SL that followed the market's swing lows, allowing the wind to push him as far as it would. This time, fortune favored him. The trailing stop only triggered after the market topped at 2,140, locking in almost every available ounce of profit. But this route was not without risk. In rougher seas, the trailing SL could have been hit early, ending the voyage far from its potential. 3 captains, same starting point, same wind, same sea. The only difference was how they defined safety and reward. This is the essence of SL and TP mastery, realizing that your entries may be the same as countless others, but your exits, your definition of mission accomplished, are what set your results apart. Look at these 3 approaches and ask yourself honestly, which captain are you most like? The cautious one who takes quick profits but misses bigger moves? The balanced one who scales strategically? Or the dreamer who swings for the fences? There's no wrong answer, only the answer that matches your psychology and goals. How many times could a different SL or TP approach have turned a break-even month into a record-breaking one? How often did a well-chosen scaling plan protect your gains from a sudden reversal? Or did an overly tight anchor keep you from reaching the open sea's treasure? The lesson is crystal clear. Your voyage is not decided when you leave port. It is shaped, molded, and ultimately judged by the way you choose to end it. And now, with all the seas we've crossed together, it's time for the final chart, the complete map to guide every future journey you take. Section 15, the complete sea chart, action plan. The greatest captains don't rely on memory alone. They keep a master chart, a living document that distills every lesson, every storm survived, every treasure recovered. What you have now, after 14 voyages together, is exactly that. A complete map for mastering SL and TP to maximize your profit while protecting your ship. The first step is always to define your risk per trade. This is your cargo limit, the ballast that keeps your ship steady. Without it, every journey is a gamble, every wave a potential disaster. Then, choose your SL method, whether it's a structural anchor, an ATR-based deep hold, or a hidden mental stop, and set it with intention, not habit. Your TP must follow suit, chosen with the same care, mapped against the coastlines of market structure, liquidity pools, and volatility forecasts. Backtest each route before you sail it live. Test it in calm seas and in storms. Look for patterns of survival, not just record-breaking hauls. When the conditions shift, from trending trade winds to choppy range-bound currents, adjust your sails and your stops without hesitation. Avoid the pirates by placing your anchor where they will not look, and grow your fleet with scaling tactics that balance ambition and safety. Measure all your results in R multiples, speaking the language of efficiency and longevity. And finally, let automation take the wheel where your human impulses would betray you. Every voyage should end with reflection. Did your SL hold? Did your TP capture the right ports? Were you disciplined in risk and bold in opportunity? These answers refine the chart for the next journey, turning you from a sailor who survives by luck into a captain who thrives by design. Let me leave you with this framework. Before your next trade, answer these 5 questions. 1. What's my risk in R for this trade? 2. Where will I place my SL and why? 3. What are my 3 potential TP levels? 4. What market regime am I trading in? 5. How will I protect profits if the trade moves in my favor? Write down your answers. Execute the plan, review the results, repeat. The truth is this: the market seas will never calm completely. Storms will come, pirates will strike, winds will shift without warning. But with this plan, you are no longer a passenger at the mercy of the tide. You are the master of your vessel, charting your own course to safe harbors and abundant treasure. And as you roll up this chart and tuck it into the captain's chest, remember, the voyage never ends. There is always another horizon, another wind to catch, another port to reach. The question is, will you set sail with your anchor and destination chosen by chance or by mastery? Join the fleet. You've just completed a full voyage through 15 critical waters, from setting your cargo limit to avoiding pirates, from dropping anchors in the right seabed to docking at the most profitable ports. You've seen how different SL and TP choices can transform the same trade into 3 entirely different fates. And now you have the master chart in your hands. But a chart is only useful if you sail with it. The market doesn't wait for indecision. Tomorrow's winds will be different from today's. The next wave could either carry you to a record-breaking haul or smash you against the rocks. That depends entirely on whether you apply what you've learned now, not someday. Here's your challenge for this week. Take your very next trade and document it differently. Don't just record your entry and exit. Write down why you chose that specific SL placement. Calculate the R multiple before you enter. Set 3 scaling TPs instead of 1. Then, and this is crucial, come back here and share what happened. Did the market test your SL? Did you scale out successfully? What did you learn? Think about this. Every professional trader you admire started exactly where you are now. The only difference? They committed to mastering their exits, not just their entries. They understood that the money isn't made in the buying, it's made in the selling. And most importantly, they took action immediately, not tomorrow, not next week, but on their very next trade. Comment below with your commitment. Type Captain. If you're ready to implement at least one technique from this voyage on your next trade, share which section resonated most with your current struggles. Your insight might be the lighthouse that guides another trader through rough waters. And if this journey has sharpened your skills, subscribe to Trading Psychology Stick for more deep dives into the mental game of trading. Next week, we're exploring the psychology of drawdowns, how to maintain your edge when the market tests your resolve. The week after, we'll dissect position sizing strategies that adapt to your emotional state, not just your account balance. Your entry is just the departure. It's your stop loss and take profit, your anchor and your chosen port, that decide whether you return empty-handed or with your hull weighed down by gold. The map is in your hands. The tide is turning. The horizon is wide open. All that's left is for you to set sail. The market opens in a few hours. What will you do differently this time?